So I did a balancing act. M1, privacy. Privacy 1. If I ever say anything negative about Apple products, I tend to get the fanboys really upset and they come bashing me about how I don't know how Apple products work or how I didn't do my research. Fact of the matter is that I have Apple products. I do programming on Apple products. Each time I consider a new model though, I have to balance the loss of privacy against the fancy technology they offer. Recently I mentioned that I returned my MacBook Air M1 2021 primarily because in my balancing act of privacy versus performance, I determined that the MacBook lost. It turned out that the hype given about the M1's performance didn't quite match real-life results for a video creator like me. Time is money, and I had hoped that the massive hype about the M1 would result in more productivity for me despite the privacy risk. And lucky enough for me, the M1 is not the end-all and I can still resist it to maintain my privacy, so I returned it. I'm sure like me, some of you are weighing these choices. If you want to really understand the real risk of using an Apple product, not one covered up by fake marketing or by Apple fanboy YouTubers, then stay put. What you will learn about Apple is truly disgusting. When you need better search results like those from Google, but don't want the Google tracking, check out privacy search engine Startpage.com. It does not collect or share any of your personal data, so you can search anonymously. My company offers a VPN service, Bytes VPN, de-Google phones, VPN routers, and now we offer a Braxmail email service. These products are made to protect you from big tech and their tricks to profile us. If you're interested in them, they are on my app, BraxMe. The link is in the description. Just to start this story from the beginning, recently I was looking for a lighter and faster device to do my video production on. Editing and rendering videos take up a huge chunk of my time. Currently for video, I use an MSI Creator 15, which is running Windows 10. It has an Intel i7 10875H, 2.3 GHz, with NVIDIA RTX 2070 Max-Q and 64 GB of RAM. I got an urge to try out the M1 because the biggest tech YouTubers like Linus Tech Tips and Marques Brownlee have made statements like, "There's no chip faster than the M1." As it turns out, in real-life use, for video rendering in 4K, the M1 MacBook Air would do it in 20-25 minutes even when I used Final Cut Pro. But my MSI Intel with NVIDIA from early 2021 rendered in 9 to 10 minutes. So the reality is we need to reduce the hype level here. So I was feeling misled by the YouTube reviewers. After searching for more videos by smaller channels, I was in fact shown by many that the Apple M1 will not match the performance of an Intel with a discrete GPU. The Apple M1 Max, the new top-of-the-line model just released, will just match that level, but at a considerable price. We're talking about a $4,000 computer now. Conclusion: my current MSI with discrete GPU is much faster than the standard M1, and thus there's no advantage, and I return the unit. The truth is, I wanted to avoid Apple products whenever possible. I have to question myself if it is right to allow Apple to spy on me more with some new purchase. But the hype about the M1 had me wanting to try it out, knowing the spy risk. With every Apple tech purchase, I have to do this balancing act. In order for you to understand the balancing act I perform, where I weigh the privacy risk against the benefit of the device, let's make sure you all truly understand what the Apple privacy risk is. And it's a huge risk. It's probably worse than Google. The mantra "iPhone is privacy" is absolute BS. I'm the privacy expert here. I'm the one who would be most attuned to the privacy promises made by tech companies. Apple's marketing mantra is completely fake. Mentioning privacy is a gimmick meant to be a competitive statement. Apple claims not to be in the personal data selling business. So it is true that they can differentiate themselves from Google in that way. However, once you understand just how much spying capability is built into your Apple device, it should give you pause. And hopefully you will be able to make a factual judgment about risks and benefits. I'm going to spend the next few minutes explaining some of the basic capabilities of an Apple device that have been explained as having a benign impact. And as you will find out, they are far from being benign. First, let's talk about how Find My works on an Apple device. Back in the early days of the iPhones, Skyhook Wireless, a location tracking company, put their software on a chip to do the location tracking that is in prevalent use today. Now, from what I recall, this chip integration was done by Qualcomm. I recalled also that this software interacted with the GPS so that it could determine locations in a progressive way depending on which aspect was giving better location data. I don't know if the location tracking is still handled at the chip level or at an OS level today. Technologically, it could be handled by either. Most of us think that the location is handled by GPS. Though partially true, this is not the complete answer. GPS only works outdoors due to the weak signal of the GPS satellites, and many devices, including the Mac and MacBooks, do not have a GPS. Yet they're able to determine their location, as you can figure out in Find My Phone. The current way of getting a location, which works on any modern device, is Wi-Fi triangulation. The way Wi-Fi triangulation works is that Apple has a database of every known Wi-Fi router and their GPS coordinates. So all that has to be done is to determine your closest Wi-Fi routers, and that would be used to get your location within 6 feet. I've explained this technology over and over in many other videos on location tracking, but it's important to go through it because Apple does not turn this off, ever. In order to build a database of Wi-Fi routers, an Apple device with the GPS scans for Wi-Fi routers in the area. This scan then records the relative signal strength of the different Wi-Fi routers it finds, together with the Apple device GPS location. Each Wi-Fi router is uniquely identified by their serial number called a MAC address. As you move, the Apple phone again compares the relative signal strength of each Wi-Fi router and records the GPS position. Using some math and a few observations like this, and reported to Apple, Apple then is able to create a full map of every Wi-Fi router ever encountered by an Apple device with mathematically determined exact locations. This process of collecting Wi-Fi router locations is often called Wi-Fi scanning and is also done by Google. Understand that when you're doing Wi-Fi scanning, you basically are also sending the GPS position of the device. And that is also being sent with your device serial number. Now, what if GPS isn't operating, or if the Apple device is a laptop that doesn't have a GPS? Well, the technique for determining the location of a Wi-Fi router is then used in reverse. Your computer determines the signal strength of the Wi-Fi routers near you. Then that data about routers near you is sent to Apple continuously. Using the formula in reverse, your location can then be determined, typically with an accuracy of 6 feet. This second process without a GPS is referred to as Wi-Fi triangulation. Don't forget that your serial number is being sent every time with this as well. So there are two processes here that can give out your location: Wi-Fi scanning and Wi-Fi triangulation, both specifically identifying which device is sending the location. Let me add a little factoid here that most people don't understand, and that is the Find My feature. Everyone who has an Apple device is aware that you can turn Find My on and off since it is a setting on your device. But most people truly misunderstand what Find My does, and those Apple fanboys who came to my video and told me that I don't know how Find My works are very sadly uninformed. Find My is not connected to the signal of your Apple device. Your device is constantly emitting a location signal either as Wi-Fi scanning or as Wi-Fi triangulation when there's no GPS signal. This signal cannot be turned off. I cited an example which proves this when I returned my MacBook to the Apple Store. I already knew that this location tracking cannot be turned off. But I need to show proof to you folks that I am correct. And Find My is the proof. Before I returned the MacBook to the store, I did an erase Mac procedure. So basically the MacBook wasn't even running. There was no Mac OS on it yet, just the initial shell loader of the Mac OS. The Apple Store rep checked the serial number of the device and determined that Find My phone was still active for that serial number, meaning it was associated. And then I had to go to my iCloud account to turn off Find My on iCloud. Now, I did not have to do anything to the MacBook. All I needed to do was turn off Find My Mac from iCloud and I was good to go. Do you understand what this means? In plain speak, it means the locations are sent to Apple continuously and identified by a serial number, as I already explained earlier. What Find My on iCloud does is simply associate the serial number with the iCloud account. Yes, I understand the purpose of this procedure. I am not stupid. Obviously, if someone steals the device, as long as the serial number is associated with an iCloud account, a security procedure at Apple is in place to not allow the device to be disassociated from the serial number. So if not disassociated and the Apple device is resold, then the new buyer will not be able to take ownership of the device because it will be indicated as stolen. The incorrect assumption, though, is that through your own actions on the device, you control when the Apple device emits the location. That's the lie here. You have no control over location emissions. But people, this is supposedly the privacy company here. This is their claim to fame, and yet they track locations 24/7. There's not even an attempt to just say, we'll track you when you reinstall the OS or do a reset. Or they could put the permission for location as something you turn on the device on or off after you purchase. Oh no, the tracking will be always on and can never be switched off. Now, this tracking is perhaps not so important on a computer since Apple knows where the device was sold to from the delivery address or the credit card address. However, a phone is always tracking your location, always, and it's disgusting that there's no way to turn this off. Now, beyond the egregious location tracking, they have so many other tracking tools you cannot turn off. One of the new features that have been added since iOS 13 by this supposed privacy-focused company has been this Bluetooth Low Energy Beacon, or BLE, both a transmitter and a receiver. BLE is a separate method of sending RF signals that is not in the Wi-Fi range. Typically, this signal is in the lower part of the 2.4 GHz range. While normal Bluetooth is meant for continuous low-power transmissions, up to 10 feet like for headphones, BLE sends pulses of data but with a stronger signal that can reach 100 to 200 feet. The first application to use BLE was for contact tracing. Each iPhone could sense the BLE signal with the MAC address or serial number of the device nearby, and then could record it. As I already said to you earlier, your phone is emitting a constant location with a serial number to Apple. And here we have another identifier that each iPhone is sending and receiving for contact tracing. And then this information can also be matched to the location serial number. So just to make it clear, whether or not you participated in contact tracing, it is clear that your phone is enabled to do so, just like the constant location pulses sent to Apple. Installing a contact tracing app was just an action to let you know the contact tracing activity that was going on. You had no control at all in reality. Just checking. We're still talking about this privacy-focused company, right? Let me keep going because it doesn't stop. So in early 2021, Apple decides to release the Apple AirTag. And once again, all the tech reviewers were so excited with another new Apple tech. But no one really understood that Apple AirTag was using this same BLE technology and was utilizing the same receivers used by the iOS device to detect BLE for contact tracing. This time the iOS devices listened to Apple AirTag beacons, which are BLE signals, and then reported it to Apple. The owner of the AirTag then gets an idea of the location. In case you didn't know this, the Bluetooth BLE receiver on the iOS device is also directionally aware of the BLE signal. You can actually know where the signal is coming from in 3D space. I already told you that every iPhone is geolocated at all times. That's how they find the AirTag, since the reporting iOS was already tracked by serial number. And then that is combined with a direction pointer from the tracking phone. But the AirTag then provides another way of sensing your location, because if there are multiple iOS devices, you will not be able to hide, since your device will indicate that it is near a particular AirTag, and thus other iPhones. Now listen to this. The tracking technology here is mind-blowing, because even if you had disconnected the phone from any network, the phone would still detect the AirTag. But maybe you missed this aspect of this BLE technology that I talk about in another video. BLE is used as a mesh network. In other words, one iOS device could talk to another iOS device and send a message about detecting an AirTag and location without an internet connection. A mesh network allows peer-to-peer communication. An iPhone can send a signal to another iPhone. Again, this is the subject of spy novels here. Since the tracking of your location via Find My or the Wi-Fi triangulation requires a network connection to send the data to the Apple network, now we have an alternate technology that can hop from device to device until a network is found that can forward the data. Let me explain this to you again in plain speak. If you have an Apple device, your location will be known and sent to HQ with or without a network or cell connection. That's because one iPhone can talk to another iPhone directly using this BLE mesh network. There is no other phone in existence with this capability. This capability exists in Amazon Echo and Ring cameras, but those devices do not move. So the intricate technological feat in an iPhone is beyond compare. Now, the new thing added recently is what technologists refer to as client-side content scanning. This is what Apple has referred to as neural hash to make it sound so high-tech. As a supposed feature to catch criminal behavior, iOS devices now allow Apple HQ to do a scan of images on your phone without actually looking at the images to determine that you have content that would be considered illegal to own. Now, the Apple fanboys are quick to tell me and others that this is very safe because the technology is based on a mathematical hash of an image, and only HQ knows what the hash is and what image it matches. I guess if you're a fanboy, you can be made to believe anything, especially if it happens to be the largest corporation in the planet. So these people are telling me that it's okay for Apple to be able to determine what documents or files are on my phone, if they so wish, with no one being able to verify that they are in fact checking on my phone or computer. This is the surveillance dream of any government. In fact, it can be done in secret by the leadership of Apple without other employees knowing. Traceless client-side scanning. Wow. Yeah, this secret tracking of what we do is okay to the fanboys. What Apple has been doing lately is put desktop level computing power on the phones so your iPhone will be able to do AI at the device level instead of having to send it to the Apple Cloud for processing. This means the AI on the device is powerful enough to detect its environment and judge a context through the camera, through its sensors, through its RF receivers, and file content. In fact, it will be able to do voice recognition locally, and when this is activated, it can be a remote spy looking for certain words spoken. This means that of all the devices in existence, the Apple iPhone is uniquely capable of targeting specific individuals for surveillance. The only thing that stands in the way of an Apple performing these surveillance functions is that Apple says they will not do it. So these are just the words of the world's biggest corporation. That's it. That's your only basis. You don't think governments will pay big bucks for this capability? And everyone just believes whatever Apple says. So if Apple is always telling the truth, let's examine a typical statement. Apple has made statements like this: iMessage is end-to-end encrypted. This is a big marketing message since Google has no equivalent to iMessage. And people actually think they can send nude pictures via iMessage? Of course, this is another lie. End-to-end encryption typically has to be verified with open source code so that independent reviewers can examine if the claim is accurate. Well, this claim is completely false. Although iMessages are in fact encrypted, they are not encrypted from Apple. The encryption key for iMessage is stored on iCloud, not on the devices. This allows for your Mac and iPad to see the messages that you received and sent from your iPhone. This is how the keys are shared among your devices. So the security key for encryption is always available to Apple since they control iCloud. But I see Apple fanboys pat each other on the back on Reddit and other places with no fact checking on what the reality is. Apple is an extremely close ecosystem. Mostly their security model is security by obscurity. For example, the main attack to hack a mobile device today is the Pegasus Attack. This has been used by the NSO Group, which is an Israeli company that made Pegasus. The Pegasus Attack targets iMessage. In fact, if we have forgotten, Jeff Bezos' iPhone was hacked and someone retrieved his nude pics on there. This year, as I mentioned, Apple made many changes like iCloud Private Relay and MAC address randomization and hide my email. On the surface, these appear to be consumer-related privacy features, and they are of benefit to the consumer. However, the reality is that these features in no way obstruct Apple's ability to surveil any party. All it does is puts a high wall around the ecosystem to deny data stealers like Facebook from getting a free ride from Apple. It's just a statement to Facebook by Apple saying, get your own sucking data. You're not allowed to take ours. Yes, of course, it's spun as part of the marketing mantra, privacy is iPhone. This is complete crap. In many ways, an iPhone is worse as a privacy device than a Google Android. At least some Google Androids can be de-Googled to remove Google. But it is impossible to do this on an iOS device. What Apple knows about you is extraordinary. Have you been missing the telemetry being done about how much time you're spending with each app? And most of you ignore the messages about being 10 minutes away from your destination, even though you haven't given it a destination. Or that your car is parked 200 feet away, that way. The device is telling you directly, hey, I'm spying on you, but I'm really good for you, so don't mind me. So let's summarize the big picture, my friends. There are clearly more sensors and more tracking possible on an iPhone with a GPS versus a laptop. So I caution you all about falling for the latest hype about an iPhone. Whereas the spying capability on a macOS is more limited, the iPhone capability is beyond compare. It's really funny what is considered to be the best features of a new device. New AI capabilities with the A15 Bionic, so it can do better contextual surveillance of what you do and what is in your environment. And the best camera. Well, I have a pretty advanced camera. The Sony cameras I use for YouTube are in the $3,000 price range. I am sure they're better than the iPhone. So their marketing is to sell you a phone, but the features are no longer about the phone. Given the expanding surveillance capability of the iPhone, the elephant in the room is the why. Why is Apple increasing the surveillance capability while claiming it's a privacy company? Frankly, I don't know. Let's assume for a moment that Apple's intent is only for profit, that there's no nefarious intent. This is hard to accept since big tech has clearly taken a side politically and universally all have a specific agenda. And Apple is no different than a Google in that sense. Apple has been extremely active on the censorship front and no less than Google. Apple also participates in government spy programs when asked. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt. If profit is the only motive, maybe they believe that a device knowing every thought and idea will be able to offer you more productivity than a device that doesn't know you. In other words, they're thinking an Apple device will eventually be your smart robot slave. And the privacy mantra is a cover, because to achieve this, the Apple device will need to know more and more about you. Maybe it's that simple. But my fear is that this is the largest corporation on earth, with the power to know all things about all people and hide what they know from everyone. What can the largest corporation do with so much power? Think about it, and let me know down in the comments below. I'm on the platform Odyssey.com. I'm now one of the top creators on there. Just for insurance, in case I get deplatformed, please follow me there using the link in the description. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then it really helps to build this privacy movement if you subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.